Hello and welcome to another episode of Sisters on the Weekend. She is Little Sis.
And she is Big Sis.
And we're back with another episode. Okay. So, Little Sis, can you take us away with today's episode topic?
First, we would like to say make sure y'all repost and review our episodes. They help a lot. Today's topic is Sister from Another Mister. So we'll be exploring whether or not sisterhood can be forced. So some different dynamics of sisterhood that we'll be looking at is when it's for sororities, childhood friendships that were built because of your parents, and actual biological siblings. So we can start with childhood friendships.
Okay. When I think about childhood friendships, I think you can build genuine sisterhood friendships and relationships based on childhood friendships. But in this instance, are you talking about when your parents are friends and then your parents try to make you friends with their friends?
Yes.
I think you could get genuine sisterhood from that as well, but yeah, I think you can. I think some of the deepest sisterhood bonds come from the longevity of relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you have two people who are mutually interested in remaining friends and being supportive, like the things that, defined in our previous episode, as far as the support, the patience, the understanding, and all that, and especially if it was nurtured or encouraged from a young age, and maybe even the influence could come from if you see your mom or your dad and the other person's parent interacting in a strong, supportive, healthy way, that could set the foundation for your friendship. So I think you can have a sisterhood relationship from another mister in the context of childhood friendships via parents.
Yeah, I think you can. I agree with you having experiencing a lot of things together, so therefore you have a bond in that way. But I've also had instances where I felt like I was friends with the child first, and then once the parents got involved, it was forced a relationship. It was genuine prior to, but then the parents was I think the parent dynamic, them comparing us, added on pressure to the actual friendship. So then it was kind of forcing us, be around each other, and it's it's no longer genuine. But how do you even present that to a parent and be I don't like her, How do you do that?
Oh, that's so deep. I didn't think about that. When parents link up and they decide that you're friends, and then birthday parties and weekend outings and stuff, you're kind of oh, such and such is coming over.
Right. Especially when you're at a certain age, once you hit puberty and you go into high school, even late middle school years, you'll probably be more opinionated. But if you're 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're don't really care too much for this person, but I guess they're my friend.
Here we are. So you think 5, 6, 7, and 8 know when they don't like
maybe
each other?
7, 8 for sure. I feel they have developed their personality and even people know when they don't like food. They just smug their face up and stuff, or they know when people always pulling at their hair and stuff. They know something.
I think I agree that a child that young could know. And I'm saying that now because my daughter, she has a childhood friend that is being facilitated by the parents. I didn't even think about this until this moment. And I don't think my daughter necessarily cares for the other child. Not that she doesn't quote unquote like the child, because my daughter is very small, but they don't interact well. The way that she interacts with other kids, both kids her age and older, it's not the same. So I think there's a disinterest there. And I had to check myself the other day, and I'm like, why am I putting her in this situation if it doesn't seem to be enjoyable or beneficial to her? So that's the flip side of it. I do think childhood friendships, but she's a baby. So I can't even really say that she's a child. So right now, all of her social interactions are directed and obviously monitored by me. So I just picked that up. So all that to say that friendship may not continue much longer because I don't see that my child has an interest. So, yeah.
That's understandable. Like, at least you notice that, because some people don't even notice. Like, some people be so involved with their friendship with the other parent that they don't notice their children's interaction with the other child. So,
and I mean, that's life. Like, you do have to learn to get along with people that you may not necessarily care for, but as a child, as a baby, like all that, I don't feel like it's time for you to have life lessons in that way. Like, we're about learning and fun. So if it's not one of the two, then it's just like, I don't think it's necessary. So I also did want to touch on siblings and half siblings.
And step siblings too is I feel like step siblings are always for the parents are together, but that doesn't necessarily mean, and then y'all might move all into the same house. Like, it's just that dynamic is often played out also in like entertainment, as far as like movies and stuff, because it's kind of like they kind of know that it might be some drama there. So
right. I think being siblings doesn't make you sisters. I think by definition you're sisters, but the sisterly relationship,
the sisterhood part of it.
The sisterhood part of it, no, I don't think so. And then I would have to say the same for half siblings. But as I think about it more, I do believe, well, I don't know. Because my question to myself and to the audience and you is, what makes people become sisters? Like, what makes a sisterhood? Like, where does that start? I think for me, I was so excited to be a big sister. So it was like, before you were even born, I was already waiting. So when you were born, I'm like, yeah, this is it. But so that's where my excitement and interest and, love and passion for being a big sister came from. It was a natural thing for me. But when it's not natural, is it the parents' responsibility to kind of try to foster, or what does that? Because I think a lot of times we put a lot on parents, and I don't mean to talk too much on this topic. Sometimes parents are really busy. They're exhausted. They're trying to work. They're trying to have meals together and transport children, and all these different things happening that they may not even see the crack in the relationship or even know how to fix it. Or sometimes they may understand the fracture. Like, my child A is this way and child B is this way, and they don't mesh. And that's pretty much it. So what do you think lays the foundation for the sisterhood?
We touched on it in the prior episode. I feel like when one person lays down the foundation, usually it's the older sibling. And I think people just give the older sibling that responsibility to lay down the foundation. And if they don't, in most cases, sadly, there won't
be a relationship like that.
It really won't be, because people will be like, oh, well, you were older and you didn't do X, Y, and Z. You know, they just pass that responsibility right along. Even as they grow up, they just never decide to take on that responsibility of building a relationship or anything. So
I'm thinking now about, you said that it's like the older siblings' responsibility. I'm thinking now about like TV shows or movies and stuff that had the scene where the mom is telling the older sibling, like, take your brother with you, take your sister with you, or do this or do that. And I'm thinking that must be a pretty difficult situation for the older sibling if they're not interested in that, and then for the younger sibling to feel like you're quote unquote put off on somebody.
Yes, definitely.
That doesn't even care to be bothered. So
yeah, I never had that dynamic, but witnessing it through film, etc., it appears to be like very uncomfortable. Yeah, to be around somebody that doesn't want you around.
Traumatic in some instances, I would suppose, but so I was just thinking about,
it's definitely the parents' responsibility to is always given to the parents' responsibility, but at the end of the day, it should be the children building a relationship. It's the children's relationship with each other. But yes, the parents will be held responsible if there is not a relationship amongst the siblings, especially when it comes to like step siblings, and in some cases maybe even half siblings.
I think back to the times where I would like visit some of my friends, like middle school, high school, and they had siblings. And I had a sibling as well. Like I had my little sister, but like I said, we were so far apart in age. So, when I'm going into adolescence, she's literally a baby. So, I just remember going to like friends' houses and stuff. And I used to think like, wow, I'm closer to you than your brother or sister.
Mm-hmm.
I used to think that was so like interesting. I'm like, some households, it feels like the children are just in their own worlds, like they're just passing.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't interact much, don't share much, no real sense of closeness. So,
or they only interact when they feel one is irritating them or something.
Right. Step siblings, any thoughts on that?
In that case, I'm thinking of like the extreme scenario where you're just like, your parents been dating, they've been dating, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're all moving in the same household.
Mm-hmm.
In those instances, you're kind of like pushed into, because like in most instances that are like that, I don't even see where there would have been time to build a relationship as step siblings prior to moving in. Unless they were doing family oriented activities, but in most cases that's like the perfect scenario. The actual stepson probably met once a year, probably on someone's birthday. Like one of the spouse's birthdays, but it's not, so you probably don't even actually have a relationship with them at all. So that's definitely forced. Like that's definitely forced.
I just think about living, with people that you have no relationship with. Like that makes me sad to think about that. Because I feel funny when I'm sleeping in a room with somebody I don't know or don't know well, or like.
Yeah, and in some instances, people have to share rooms. That's even like college.
That's what I'm thinking about when I say that. Like, I don't want to pivot too much, but college.
No, our next topic was kind of like the sorority, like college.
Okay, we can go into that, because I'm just saying, like, college, the concept of like living in tight quarters with a complete stranger, I don't understand how that's character building, or I don't get that. Like, I think it's a better way to do it. Like, most dorm rooms are small by any rate, but then to be with another person, you don't know, different lifestyles, different upbringing, different. Now, granted, you may get lucky and you can pick your person, and maybe you guys are comfortable that way. Maybe you guys, your lifestyles will align as far as like cleanliness and wake up, go to sleep, and nightly habits, and social relationships. Like, do you always want company and this and that? Are you making tuna fish at 12 a.m. and leaving? All these different things.
We can touch briefly on sorority. We don't have to dive too deep, but that I just wanted to mention sorority sisters as well, because that is a sisterhood that I definitely would I would consider it forced, but like Big Sis mentioned earlier, sisterhoods can stem from experiences and relationships. So it definitely can be built, but I feel like that, along with step siblings, is like a overnight abrupt sisterhood where it's so forced that it's questionable of the genuineness.
I think my thought on the sorority situation is not only is it could be an abrupt relationship, but I think also considering the ways in which some sororities quote unquote pledge their sisters or the sorors who are joining, to me that may put a damper on the relationships, the authenticity of the relationship, especially if there is hazing involved, which hazing is supposed to be illegal, but people do participate in some instances, or so I've heard. And so I think coming from that background, and then the moment you have officially joined the organization, there being, oh, we're sisters, I think that can make the connection questionable, or, insincere, but understandably.
Right, but then that can, like, all of these different scenarios of sisterhood that we presented in this episode can give people different definitions of what sisterhood is, and then have them questioning, like, okay, is this how someone should treat me as a sister? And it's like, maybe they shouldn't, but somebody's saying that we are sisters, or we keep saying we are sisters, so then you feel like you are.
Well, I guess you are, in the sense that you have that common interest, or according to the definition, you do have that. Let me see. You are a community who have a common interest. So I guess you have a sisterhood, but you're not sisters. Which is hard to really even conceptualize.
Right, but we just said that if you're sisters, that don't mean you have a sisterhood. Now you're saying if you have a sisterhood, that don't mean you're sisters. Like, this is too much. So then what argue at that point? Like, they both negate themselves.
I mean, I guess that's up for discussion, and we would love to hear some of your experiences, and if you guys could provide any commentary or feedback on the topics we've discussed in this episode, I think it would be helpful to others. So we look forward to hearing from you guys.
And remember to repost and review each episode. That will help greatly.
Alrighty, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
All right. Bye.